You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
From the border of liberty, prosperity, and the highway to the north. It helps when your microphone is near you. Let's try that again. From the border of liberty, prosperity, and the highway to the north, this is Safety Wars. Have a solemn Kwanzaa. Have a Merry Christmas. I hope all our Jewish friends and family enjoyed Hanukkah last week. Yes, I am here. What's the big story for today, December 26th, 2022? There's only 5 more days to the end of the year, so make sure, I'm not a financial guy, but make sure you make all your 529 contributions and all your retirement contributions and whatever charities you support, all of their contributions. By the end of this week, by Friday. Right, you got to let the financial stuff run through, and everything else, so it gets in under this year. How's your holiday out there? Hold on, we got some background noise with festivities from the Pulsel household. Hold on. Anyway, they're playing Uno. We play very cutthroat games of Uno in our family, going way back. So, I still stand by my original assessment from last week. And this is going to be a running theme, I think, for 2023. How are we being controlled? How are we being put on edge inside and outside the work area, inside and outside your workplace, inside and outside your institution, and everything else? Because I tell you what, we had... we enjoyed our Christmas weekend this weekend. As everyone knows, this is the first year without my dad. The first Christmas without my dad was a little bit solemn, a little bit melancholy. We started off with, as we always do, Charlie's birthday, Charlie the Bear. 47 years. His birthday this Saturday. Right? It started out with it gives us some time to reflect on everything that's happened this year. Mourn, celebrate for Christmas past, and this frees us up to enjoy the rest of the celebrations. So I go to, and no, this isn't going to turn into a religion show anytime soon, at least, right? Unless the apocalypse is looming out there. What was the message, the Christmas Eve message from my minister, Pastor Tice? Touched on a lot of points, but the big one was everything's going to work out one way or another. That was the big one. And don't worry. That was one of the major themes. And that's what we're about here in part, right? Everything's going to work out. Don't you worry. There's a lot of songs out there on not worrying, right? One of them was from September 1988. How do I remember it? Because it was my first week at college. And it was, don't worry, be happy, right? But let's be realistic. There are things that you need to be concerned about, things you don't need to be concerned about, and everything along the lines. And we're all about building capacity here, especially with one of our themes, especially every September, with disaster preparation. And we're going to expand on that again. This will be our third year covering it this year coming up in September. So stay tuned on either the podcast or the live show. What's been all over the news, especially here in New York, because we've had, as of this evening, 27 confirmed deaths in Erie County and one in Niagara County in New York. And it's believed that it's going to increase even more due to the storm and lake effect snow. There's been varying reports all over the Midwest and wherever the storm has hit, up to 50 people dead so far. Where are people dying? All right. And of course, it's news and commentary here that we do. So they have a breakdown here in New York. They're saying that some of the people, the number of dead is now higher than the blizzard in 1977, where 23 people died. I remember that blizzard. That hit New Jersey. Same week, I believe. Officials added 12 weather-related deaths this morning to 13 announced. They have not yet released their identities, ages, genders, or anything like that. But a number of people died of cardiac arrest from shoveling snow. There was literally 4 foot of snow, and all through the Midwest. I haven't kept up on this. I'm sure we're going to do a summation that by the end of this week on all of this. So what are we talking? And we got people without power. We've had a lot of people in my metro New York City area without power, up in Orange County or over there, and throughout the Midwest, tens of thousands of people without power. What's one of the major problems we have? And it came to the forefront starting in Moore County, North Carolina, earlier this month, where some people who had political issues, they went and vandalized the local power equipment. I'm not going to go into how, but they vandalized it and knocked out power for the whole region. We've had this week a bunch of burglars do the same thing up in Washington, knock out power to several thousand people reportedly. That's Washington State. We've had since 2014 something like 600 different attacks on the power grid. We've had, up until fairly recently, a government program, a government commission on the effects of electromagnetic pulses to the power grid. And things have not moved in the congressional arena on that. We've had attacks on the power grids. Not too much has happened with them on a lot of power grids. They've been slowly upgrading some of the security features and everything else. But we can't do anything about what the government does or doesn't do. Can't do it. There's nothing we can do about it. So we have to figure out what we're going to do about it. How are we going to prepare? What are we going to do about severe cold weather? And then in the opposite, what are we going to do with hot weather? In the middle, yeah, you could, it's a little bit easier to manage in the spring and in the fall. Right? Early spring a little bit harder, late fall a little harder, or autumn, right? I should say autumn, like all good radio people. Summer could be a little bit harder to manage because of the heat, especially if you have an intolerance to heat. So what were some of the issues here? We had extreme cold. We had snow. It was for several days prior to the storm and everything. This has been an issue. So what do we have? And this is right off of radio.gov. First, let's go. Let me back before I get that. Let's go back a little bit more. From the AP, Western New York death toll. This is just updated, rises to 28 from storm chaos. And it's still snowing in some areas. You have what's called lake effect snow. They may get another 9 inches here. We have over in looters, raid stores closed by devastating Christmas storm that left 50 dead and millions without power. Right, and that's nationwide. That was as updated this afternoon, 12:13 Eastern time. Death tolls allegedly going to go up higher. Southwest Airlines hit by massive disruptions and flight cancellations. 64% of their flights are canceled. 4 feet of snow up there in there. So I don't know how long it's even going to take to get out of this situation, but let's talk about this. I'm looking at a map, and almost down in J. Allen land, somewhere in northern Florida, it's 38 degrees. And we're getting cell out by the Dakotas, minus 17. This is what the wind chill, minus 17, minus 22, 1 degree, minus 12. Over here in Rockland County, New York, 22 degrees wind chill. It's going to be lovely tomorrow when I do my audits out in the snow. Well, not in the snow, but in the cold. So what's my whole point here with everything? All right. You cannot do a damn thing about what the government does or doesn't do. There's nothing you can do about it. So the question is, what are you going to do? First, what do you have to plan for? I got up ready.gov here, and okay, power outages. This is updated in October this year. I think we covered this one time before. Extended power outages may impact the whole community and the economy. A power outage is when the electrical power goes out unexpectedly. A power outage may does 4 things that they list. Disrupt communications, water and transportation, close retail businesses, grocery stores, gas stations, ATMs, banks, and other services, cause food spoilage, water contamination, and prevent the use of medical devices. There was a book that came out several years ago by William Forstchen, 1 second after. And then he had, like, 1 year after was another one. It's a fictionalized account of what could happen if something if there's electromagnetic pulse attack on the United States, and like a lot of these disaster novels that are out there, they focus on a small town in the middle of nowhere. And this is a town of Black Mountain, North Carolina. It's centered around, and small town in western North Carolina. And what's the population? 7,848. And it goes through the whole sequence of events without power. So what happens is the phone, all these things happen, but within a year, people who need medical care are pretty much gone. So you're talking your type 1 diabetics that need insulin to survive. I've read that they have without insulin, they had an 18-month life span, roughly. Most diabetics in the 1920s, type 1. Type 2, you could do without medication for a short time, and then you run into problems. So within 1 year, an EM attack in the book, the United States is described as having 30 million survivors, down 90% from a pre-attack population of 300 million. In the book, we were invaded by Republic of China and Mexico. And it goes on and on and on with that. What happens? We know already when we went through the lockdown. And this is when we had power. Supermarkets are empty, right? Supply chains are disrupted, to say the least. Without power, you ain't getting anything here. And you're left to fend for yourself. And that's what the point of the book. How does this apply to our situation? One of my relatives in eastern Pennsylvania, her heat went out with the severe cold. Now what she have to worry about? Not only with staying warm with her and her pet dog, but also pipes freezing. What are you going to do about that? There are many different things you could do about that. I'm not, right? With that, portable heaters. My grandmother used to keep the water running slightly at a drift. This way moving water is a lot more difficult to freeze. When you get to this extreme cold, I don't know if that would necessarily work. Pipes freeze in the house, now you got a flood. With this cold weather, I think your food spoilage is going to be at a minimum, but how are you going to do to heat it up? With an extended supply chain issue, now you have issues of medication, fuel. Some people I know were camping out in their cars because why? Their cars had heat, but how long is that going to last? Then you have people who were freezing to death in Buffalo on the way to the store because they ran out of food in the house. With today's economic times that we're experiencing out there, we know what they are: hyperinflation, which was, by the way, predicted many years ago. My family had to live with it in Europe, and right after World War I. In Germany, that's one of the reasons why they came over to the United States, was hyperinflation. Right? Everything going on over there, hyperinflation, things cost more money. Maybe your Christmas was a little bit more sparse this year and other holidays because of this. Now you have access. No retail businesses are open. Now we have looters. What are they looting? Are they going to be reselling items, right? Food, everything else that goes in there? presumably in this book, right, the whole economy collapses, so you're back to an anarchist/barter economy. Grocery stores closed. A lot of the grocery stores were still closed today, or they had limited hours. Gas stations without power. Let's say that you're running off of fuel oil. You can often get fuel oil, right, from a regular fuel station. Well, guess what? You can't get that, even a 5-gallon thing. ATMs are out, meaning they're empty. Now, what are you going to do? You don't have cash. You don't have credit cards. There's nothing in there. All other services are disrupted. Am I saying being paranoid? No, but you need to be prepared for when this attacks, when this type of attack happens, or more likely a weather event, or a terrorist attack like we had in Washington this week, where in Moore County, North Carolina. Well, Jim, how can you call that a terrorist attack? Well, it turns out the people in Moore County were allegedly protesting a group who was in town that they didn't want in town. Well, that's the story for another day. What happened in Washington allegedly is a whole bunch of robberies, Christmas robberies. Medical devices. All these medical devices run off of electric, whether it's your CPAP machine. How about extreme cold if you're diabetic, and for all the blood glucose monitors? Right, that's an issue. Pardon me, I'm taking a drink. No, it is regular. It's ginger ale without alcohol. Other medical devices, oxygen. How about you're in a hospital? They go down, they have a backup generator, but that only is for so long to run all their medical equipment. You'd be surprised the number of people that have medical equipment in their house, whether they're oxygen machines. Now a lot of pacemakers have, not now, I mean, it's been a long time, they have Bluetooth enabled, they're Bluetooth enabled. Right now, I know my brother's, his was Bluetooth enabled, and they detected a problem a couple of days before he passed away. They said, go to the hospital now. Right, he got a phone call. Everything else that goes on there. So what do you do? Keep freezers and refrigerators closed. That way we keep things, that temperatures they're supposed to be. And you're going to say, well, Jim, it's all these cold temperatures outside. Okay, great. It's cold temperatures outside. Refrigerators not only keep things cold, but keep it warm, keep it at the right temperature. I have a lot of experience with that at my parents' summer house, where things are in the refrigerator and froze, right? And just by keeping it open and shut, and we had that at college too. Just keep things open and shut a couple of times a day, nothing freezes. You keep things shut, and cold weather, guess what? It might freeze. Do not use a gas stove or oven to heat your home. Yeah, that's because of carbon monoxide poisoning. We talked a lot about that's actually one of the greatest threats to a homeowner for poisoning is carbon monoxide. Disconnect appliances and electronics to avoid damage from electrical surges. So when the power comes on, you may get an electrical surge. Have alternative plans for refrigerating medicines or using power-dependent medical devices. There are alternatives. I'm not going to recommend anyone in particular, but you have to do an assessment yourself and figure out for yourself what you're going to need to do. And check with local officials about heating and cooling locations open near you. So Buffalo, I know, and a lot of the other areas around the country, New York City is one of them. They have heating and cooling locations, right? Heating this time of year, cooling other times of year. But what's the whole point here? Assess the 3 A's, what we use in disaster. Assess, analyze, and act. Assess what your needs are going to be. Analyze what you're able to do, and then act. So I always say this, and this is probably because of the probably because of a couple of families I know who went quote unquote off the grid as far as energy is concerned. It took them about 1.5 years. Right? If you're going to be in an apartment house or other high density housing, your options are very limited. But what can you do? Talk to the management group for that. What are we doing as far as power outages are concerned? Want to make them real comfortable? Talk to an HOA about what their plans are in disasters. We've had Dawn Becker on the air several times here with talking about homeowners associations and how they're underinsured. Do they have enough insurance with this? What are their plans? How are we going to do this? Do they have a disaster response or disaster preparation coordinator to help things? That could be, right? You want to become a leader in your community? That could be a leadership opportunity, even if on an unofficial level. So what do you need to do to prepare for a power outage? Okay, power supply, what are you going to do? A generator? Are we going to use it properly? Is the generator going to be 30 or 40 foot away from the house? Do we have enough fuel? How are we going? What are we going to connect it to? Is it going to be connected to the home power? Or are we going to run off of extension cords? Or how are we going to secure the thing? Because I assure you that things are probably being stolen out there in Buffalo right now. So this is right off of ready.gov. Go to a community. They recommend going to a shelter if with power if heat or cold is extreme. Prepare for a power outage. Take an inventory of the items you need that rely on electricity. Plan for batteries and other alternative power sources to meet your needs when the power goes out. So what we've done in our house is every entrance has a flashlight. So you want a flashlight? You go to the entrance of the house, then you will find a flashlight. This way everybody knows where they are. We also have every medicine cabinet has a flashlight. That means every bathroom has a flashlight. So we have central locations there. Also, each child in their nightstand has a flashlight. That's what they say. Have a flashlight for every household member. And conserve whether it's going to be there. Determine whether your home phone can work in a power outage and how long battery backup will last. If you have all of that. Do you have an old-fashioned hardwired phone like my mother? We have voice over internet here, and like most homes now. But my mother, hey, there's a power outage. Good chance that phone is still going to work there. Determine whether your home phone will work in a power outage. Know your medical needs. Talk to your medical provider about a power outage plan for medical devices powered by electricity or refrigerated medicines. So they do make small batteries about the size of a car battery and moving on up, power banks that could run small refrigerators. I used to have a very small refrigerator for one of the projects I was on where we needed one. And that's where we kept samples in there, or either samples, and then you can't mix up your samples for like air samples, water samples, soil samples with food, right? So we had a small refrigerator that was, I'm talking maybe 8 inches by 8 inches by 8 inches that we were able to keep things cool. Right, and it would be good for like 2 or 3 bottles of water, medicine in there, and everything else. You could probably hook that up to a battery or a generator, no problem. So for example, some medicines they say, well, they're in a refrigerator, but if you read the instructions and everything, you could probably get by with some medications. I'm not going to say which ones. I do know which ones, by the way. You could get away with a little bit of a higher temperature. Install battery operated, right? Carbon monoxide detectors, right? On every level of your home. This way, if there is a carbon monoxide buildup, you'll have everything in there. As far as cooking is concerned, right? Do you have gas for like a stove, charcoal grill, what have you? You know, with that, consider turning off the main power to your house until power is returned. Why? You can't turn off everything. You're always going to miss one item, and a power surge, getting out of that power at one time, may destroy something. Food storage. Have enough non-perishable food and water. What they're recommending is 48 to 96 hours. If you recall from our disaster response month, that's what we call a class 2 emergency. That's what the Safety Wars calls it. There are 4 levels, right, where you have 0 to 24 hours, 24 to 72 or 96 hours. That's category 2. Category 3 is up to 30 days. And category 4 is in excess of 30 days. Right? We can plan for 0 to 72 hours, 96 hours, something like that, pretty easy. Most people could. Anything after that, guess what? You might have it's a lot harder. And if you're worried, a week or 2, maybe you could do. A month or more, you're going to have a problem, especially with food storage. That's where your non-perishable food is. Generators, read the instructions. Do something that nobody does. Read the instructions. Now, I suspect a lot of the folks who left their house to get food were probably elderly or disabled. That's an issue out there with that. So if you have elderly or disabled family members, check in on them. Find out what their situation is. You may want to have, often what families will do is in an emergency, a disaster, the person with the least mobility in the house, if you can't get them into another location that's secure, they make that location secure, right? So the person with the least mobility, that's the room everybody hangs out in for mobility, for heat, for everything. Why? Person has no mobility. You're going to now have to expend energy and do setups elsewhere. Well, what's the thing? Preparation. This is the other thing. Psychological stuff, right? Psychological resiliency in a disaster. You have folks out there. What do we have? We have people on smartphones, right? Or I call them dumb phones half of the time. You have people on TV, right? TVs have gotten better over the years. With the flat screen TVs, they use a lot less energy. You may be able to run a TV off of one, right? Off of a generator or off of a power bank, but I wouldn't guarantee it. What are you going to do to keep your mind occupied in this cold? I know during Superstorm Sandy, we had family members that were listening, that were used to watching TV. Well, guess what? They didn't have TV. I didn't miss a beat because, everyone knows I'm an audiophile and talk radio junkie. So what did I do? I had my little radio, transistor radio, a little bit bigger radio, and we were, I didn't miss anything, while other family members were like, I can't do this, I can't watch TV, I can't read a book, I can't do this, what am I going to do? And they're literally bugging out. I think things would be worse today with no internet access. Right? Where are you going to get your information? Again, this is where a local radio comes in handy. You may want to have a ham radio where you have a whole network of people out there that you deal with across your radio, and you have a shortwave radio or CB radio or other thing that gets maybe even depending on what you need, 2 or 3 miles or 50 miles, 60 miles, 100 miles. What are you going to do for communication? right? Cell networks. So the cell networks are going to be down. Now, you can't have 5 people on a cell phone. So maybe you have one cell phone at a time on. Maybe you send out text messages to your support network, including your family all across the country. Hey, we're okay, giving them updates through text messages, right? Because those use a lot less energy. All that stuff. How are you going to do this? Communications. So what else? Mobility issues, and I'm still on ready.gov. How about weather radio with text display if you're going to be deaf or hard of hearing? How about if you're deaf, for example, extra hearing aids, pen and paper, battery operated lantern, something, what have you. That's for, planning ahead of time. All right, so we're going to take a little break, and now I'm going to stop my rant or my ramble, whatever we're calling this, and we're going to talk about something a little bit more safety-oriented with this, and our thoughts, our prayers are for the people in the weather-impacted areas. And like I said, I'm not going to back off on a lot of what I said. A lot of this stuff is to keep people, we're in since September 11th, 2001, in a constant state of anxiety in this country, especially in the metro New York area, with disasters, all the way the news coverage is going on, everything. If you're prepared, are you going to be able to be manipulated that much? Prepare as you're able to. You're not going to be able to. And now the time to start preparing for disaster is not a week, not the day before, especially with this one. They knew it was coming. It's constantly a year before. And for Safety Wars, this is Jim Polzel. We're going to break.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
OSHA recordables, first aid cases, catastrophic losses. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Polzel with Safety Wars. We have a little bit of financial news here. The metals markets are still open, so we got gold at $18.12, up slightly. Silver at $24.06, up slightly. Platinum up to $1,047.30, up slightly, and palladium at $18.60.50. So I don't know if you folks heard about this one. There's been a little bit of a media blackout here. An executive producer at ABC News died suddenly at the age of 37. And the sudden unexpected death of executive producer for ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos at age 37 over the weekend has come sounding alarm about the possible dangers of COVID vaccinations, even though it has not been determined if the shot played a role. The person who died is Dax Tahera. I'm sorry if I am not pronouncing that correctly. Dax Tahera died suddenly Friday. ABC's Rachel Scott reported on the air on Saturday. The cause of death was reportedly a heart attack. And our condolences go out to the family there. But again, with the vaccinations, check out with your doctor what your risks are, what the risks are for you of getting one and not getting one. I had a long conversation with my doctor on Friday, and we had talks. No, she's like, "You're not an anti-vaccination person." No, I'm not an anti-vaccination person. I'm fully vaccinated, because there was one vaccination I had in my records that I said, "Do not give me," because I got sick from. I'm not going to mention which one. She said, "We got well," and she went on and on and on and on. And well, you don't have this one, this one, this one. I said, "Okay, well, you never told me you get this one, this one, this one." And I said, "As long as you give it to me on a Friday, I don't have an issue." She says, "Why Friday?" I said, "In case I have a bad reaction like the other time, I can manage it over the weekend." She said, "Oh, that makes sense." I said, "That's me." So like getting a vaccination is like collecting a soil or water sample or some air samples. You don't do it on a Friday. If you've been doing this long enough, don't do it on a Friday, because chances are, if it needs to get in to the lab, you're going to exceed the holding time on all this stuff. Get it on Thursday, you get it there Thursday, Friday, they analyze it, you're good, or they do whatever to it to preserve it, blah, 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 over the weekend, what have you. Get it there on a Saturday, it's iffy, it's a little sketchy. I know, back in my younger days when I was not in charge, that's what happened to me many times. So, end of the year, often organizations, employees, organizations, we had to do this in the oil industry all the time. We had to come up with what were called SMART goals. And people will get all freaked out. What is a SMART goal, right? And my wife has to do this with her organizations. There are goals that have to be specific for S, M for measurable, A, achievable, R for relevant, or T, time-bound. What's specific? We're talking about what will be accomplished. What actions will you take? Measurable. What data will measure the goal? How much and how well? Is it achievable? Is the goal doable? Do you have the necessary skills and resources? R, is it relevant? How does the goal align with the broader goals? Why is the result important? And it needs to be time-bound. So let's talk about the goals, right? And I have a guide here. This is a very generic guide. Here, it's from an organization, but I've seen this so many times. I know I could probably figure out in about 30 seconds where they got this from, because I see this over and over and over and over again. Common types of goals are to increase something, make something, improve something, reduce something, save something, or develop someone, maybe yourself. They're for your day-to-day job. Okay, now, here's my question for you. Okay, we get this. So for safety, what would be a SMART goal? This is where we get into trouble here. Well, and the question has to be how relevant, no, how compatible, that's the word. How compatible are these SMART goals with human and organizational performance? But behavior-based safety is real simple. What will be accomplished? We're going to increase auditing, and we're going to increase near-miss good catch reporting, and we're going to increase that. Oh, really? Well, that's very easy data to measure. Now we get into measurable. So now we're going to be measuring near-miss good catches. I'm going to ask you this. Is your organization mature enough to manage that information that they're getting? Do you have mature managers? And I'm going to say that, mature managers, because I tell you what, one of my projects had a near miss last week, and guess what? Half of the people were under the old system freaking out. How can you have a near miss? No, you're bad employee. You had a near miss. Versus the other half was like, okay, you had a near miss. Thank God nobody got hurt. Okay, now what went wrong? And how do we prevent that from happening again? What can we do to learn and improve? How's your organization going to handle? That's why you got to be careful with saying we're going to be monitoring these matrices. Is the organization mature enough? What's their reaction? All right. Are these going to be stretches? Or are you going to say, well, I'm going to have 5 near-miss reports a month? Well, are you working with people that know what they're doing and have a nice system set up? That have a system set up so they're in the skills-based mode so they don't have too much human error there and there aren't too many near-misses there or anything else, right? That may not be a good place to start with that. Auditing. All right. Again, the other thing, if you do an audit here, or if you're auditing people, are they going to be okay with the information? Because usually this is what happens, especially the big things. 95% of the time, and these are real numbers here, 97% of the time, in excess of 90%, everything is going well. There are no problems. And when we do find something, it's some kind of unsafe condition where we don't blame the employee. Well, why don't we blame the employee? Because you guys will fire him or her. Smack, they'll have to go into, it'll be like the, right, and you Star Trek fans will get this. Now, how many lights are there? There are 4 lights. No, there are 5 lights. Zap, right? And they slap you. And then by the end of the process, how many lights are there? There are 5 lights. There's actually only 4. Right? But this is basically what it comes down to with that. Is your organization mature enough? Do you have something set up where you're going to be generating data, and how are they going to react to that? Right? What will be accomplished? What will your actions take? So be very careful on what you choose. What are some of the other things? Right? Well, we're going to conduct training. Right? We're going to start training people. That would be good. That's another good one. We're going to not only educate, we're going to train people, and we're going to show them how to do things in the field or get their input on how to do things in the field and make this a safer place. So we're going to do this. We identified 25 different activities. We're going to, the first 3 every quarter, we're going to take part 7 or 8 activities, and we're going to do an audit. We're going to write up procedures. We're going to see if the procedures are relevant. We're going to train people, and we're going to make allowances for operational upsets when these procedures don't apply. And we're going to get everybody here really set up and think, this is as safe as possible. That's a good goal, right? That would be with that. Housekeeping. Again, low-hanging fruit, housekeeping. The place looks like an S-hole. Let's go and have, we're going to be housekeeping. I had one organization, they had a major housekeeping push, and it took about a year for the housekeeping to go through the whole plant. And they had 4 people, 5 people working every day on housekeeping. And they threw out containers and drums and all different types of stuff. At the end of the year, everything was looking really good at that facility. And then the next year they said, well, we're going to paint everything, right? Paint all, not the tanks, not the process, but like the railings, and we're going to beautify this place a little bit, make this a positive place. Really good thing, wasn't it? Now the thing is doable. When you're a safety person and you have to come up with these SMART goals, remember, it's not you doing them. It's not you doing the SMART goal. It's your team doing it. Your workplace doing it. Can you get everybody else on board with the SMART goal? What will your organization handle? What will your management handle? Because I tell you what, you come up with a goal, and guess what? It all falls on you, buddy. Right? All falls on you. Now, on top of everything else that you have to do as a safety professional, and you're doing safety, you're not being a coach out there, you're not helping people along, you're not doing everything. Now you're doing safety. Now you're doing paperwork to prove that you're doing your goals. Is everybody else going to be cooperating? Are they relevant to what you're doing? So this is where you could go, and when you're creating these goals, hey, what's the organization doing for the next year? What's on tap for the next? What are we going to do? What kind of work are we going to do? Is HR putting out anything new? Because we hate to give let's say HR has a whole bunch of training that they have to go through. Now you had to do a bunch of training. You're going to overtrain people. That's happened to a couple of organizations where I was in, where the people were overtrained. What do I mean by overtrained? Meaning that they got tired of it. They got burned down on it. It became a drag. Can we switch things up? Can we work with other parts of the organization where rather than doing all these training classes, maybe we could integrate some of the training classes with another program? How about that? Now you got everything going in there all together. And then time bound. What's the specific time frame? I'm going to tell you, if there's no time frame, chances are goals aren't going to happen. Whatever it is, whatever the reasonable thing is. The other thing is, who's responsible for this? Who's managing it? Because I tell you what, and it's a cliche, but it works. If no one's responsible, nothing gets done. Right? As along those lines. So it could be these SMART goals. Right, here's more of the goal. When setting a goal, be specific about what you want to accomplish. Right, this isn't a detailed list of how you're going, but it should include answer to the popular W questions: who, what, when, where, which, why. Right, why? What's the reason for the goal? And, you have all different guides. They're measurable. What kind of measurable? Is there a direct measurement that can be made? That's why it's very, very attractive for organizations just to put out a TRIR goal or an experience modification rate goal or something like that, because now it's easy to do. But I'm going to challenge everybody out there to try to have something that's not so easy to measure sometimes. There are ways that things that you can't measure that are very critical to safety. For example, corporate culture. Very difficult to measure that. Very uncomfortable to measure that in safety. The other thing is this, with the way that human error works, I've been at organizations that were doing things like they were doing all along with no accidents and no injuries. Then 1 year, everything goes to Guvno. Right, one organization over a 20-year period, there was a 2-year period, they had no OSHA recordables. And then there was an OSHA recordable, they have 3 or 4 a year. That's what they get. That's what they are. Is it achievable? Isn't something that can be achieved relevant or time bound? Now, my question is this. I've gone on, I worked in corporate America for many years. I had corporate goals, corporate jobs, right? Early in my career. I had my own company for a long time now. It's scary. A lot of organizations where you had to report to oil companies, we had to have SMART goals. My question is this. You're working in an organization. You could be a manager. You could be an owner. You could be a regular working stiff, as they say, up here. What about your organization? Does your organization have their own SMART goals? Do you have the stones to go up to your boss and say, hey, what are our goals for the year? If they're a leader, I can tell you what, if they're a good leader, they're going to be telling you what their goals are for the year. They're going to be communicating their goals. Well, as an organization, what are our goals for the year? Scary question to ask. You may not like the answer that you get. I did this one time with an organization I belonged to, I worked for, and I had some pointed questions, and they gave me answers that were deceptive, very deceptive. And I knew that they were deceptive. So I made it a point to get out of the organization because we're dealing with very deceptive answers. And 10 months after I left the organization, the things that they weren't honest with me about came to fruition. And I called it exactly how it was. And the people who stayed with the organization had nightmares there. So a lot of people, for years afterwards, because the organization took a totally different direction than what they were. And now, it's one of those things. Does your boss have a SMART goal? What's your organization? What's their goals? So maybe after you get done sharing your SMART goals, you generate these things, great. Now you could say to them, well, what are the organization's SMART goals? Right? And be nice and professional about it, non-confrontational. Say, look, I really like working for this organization. This organization's ability to create a product and deliver it to market or provide a service is critical for me. What's our SMART goals at this organization, at this facility, on this project? Are we actually going to meet them? You can turn it around on them. That's, again, part of... I had a relative say, well, Jim, what is the point of safety wars? We have a lot of points here. Disaster preparation. This is born out of COVID, where we had people, we knew that this was coming for a long time, a pandemic, and we could have done a better job managing it. And when I say we, I mean we as safety professionals and us as a country. And part of what we do here is spreading the word here on Safety FM, spreading the word to make things better, get people. My personal thing is disaster preparation, right? And things like that. But what's the other thing is having backbone, sticking up for yourself. That's the big thing that we're pushing here. Teaching people, giving them the skills, giving them the confidence, giving them the knowledge, everything that goes up with sticking up for themselves. I didn't do a very good job for it for many years, and I suffered the consequences. I don't want to see other people suffer the consequences, especially people in my family who I love. Right? So, turn it back on your organization. Hey, what are your SMART goals? Well, what are we looking to do here, and how are we going to measure this? What's the end goal here on this? Your organization owes that to you. And we're going to, continue with some holiday music. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. We're commemorating, or I don't know the correct word is for Kwanzaa this week. And I just want to tell everybody, please go out there and continue to fight that safety war. We've done pretty good with it in 2022. We're going to fight that safety war in 2023, and we're going to make our organizations better, make ourselves better, increase capacity, resilience, get prepared out there, and do everything else that we do. For Safety Wars, this is Jim Posel.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.